cake getting ready to be turned into a masterpiece for Mom's birthday. A lot of gorgeous squishy wool. And there's Mom working on a masterpiece. What are you working on, Mom?
Well, this is supposed to be a scene where we've got a bunny rump, and at some point industrious hands will turn this into a project bag. Yay. And this one is going to the Dainty by Crochet Cakes site to see if any of you would like to have it.
Hi guys, and welcome to the brand new re-recorded, remastered episode 47 of the Crochet Cakes podcast. My name is Clarissabeth, and you can find me anywhere on the social medias as Crochet Cakes. Most active on Instagram, and I am getting a bit chattier on Ravelry, even though I have abandoned it for just a tiny bit. I'm going to get back to that. Speaking of Ravelry, you can head on over to the Crochet Cakes Podcast Ravelry group just by searching Crochet Cakes Podcast in the Groups tab on Ravelry, and you will find a very lovely, very chatty community of crafters. And most importantly, it's where you will find the chatter thread for the hashtag SRCal18 that Claudia and I are running this summer. I was going to say as is tradition, but this is the second time we run the Summer of Romance Cal. This year the theme is bad boys and girls we love. So feel free to pick a bad boy or a bad girl and create something yarny with that character in mind. The Cal started on the 15th of June and it will run until the 13th of August, so there's still plenty of time to finish something, which is good for me because I'm only halfway, maybe a quarter of the way through on my project, which I will be sharing a bit later on in this podcast. You can also shoot me an email at crochetcakespodcast@gmail.com. All the links will be down in the description box below. And you can also head on over to my Etsy shop if you're so inclined. It's Dainty by Crochet Cakes. However, you will not find it in the search engine on Etsy because I have not paid the fee to be searchable, I guess it's the word. And if you don't pay that fee to be searchable, people can't find you using the search engine, which I find very ludicrous. But I guess they had to make money somehow. There will be more on my Etsy shop a bit later on in the podcast if you're interested, because I've just been having a bit of a thought about Etsy and whether or not it's the right place to be given the changes in policy that they've made, but I'll discuss that later. I don't want to just shoot on straight into some boring stuff at the beginning of a podcast. By the way, this podcast promises to be a very long one because it's been a month since I last podcasted. So grab something to eat, grab something to drink, grab some crochet, and just buckle in. I've just got some handy dandy water and I'm powered by 2 very healthy donuts. Which is really funny because I promised myself I would start eating healthier because I don't consider eating healthy a chore. I actually like eating healthy, but I'm too tempted by all the delicious desserts out there to want to eat healthy. I cannot be the only person in the world this happens to. There has to be other people like me that are just as prone to giving in to temptation. But anyway, why has it been a month since I last recorded? Well, first things first, before I went to Puerto Rico for my mom's birthday, I was back home for a week and it was just marvelous. I did not want to come back. My fiance was half afraid that I was actually going to just message him and say, you know what? I'm just going to stay home, ship all my stuff back. But that obviously didn't happen because I'm here in Florida again. Not that you can tell because you only see a white wall behind me. Anyway. So yes, going back home, before I went back home, I recorded a podcast, which I managed to delete before I actually finished exporting the file so I could upload it to YouTube. Very complicated business, as you can tell. Anyway, so I deleted that podcast and I was like, well, let me just head on home and maybe Mom and I will record a podcast together. Which did happen. So if you're interested to hear of a little bit of stuff and shenanigans we got up to and, seeing them in person-ish, then head on over to the Mind and Muse channel and just look up her latest podcast and you will find us recording in a car, which I thought was awesome. Because how many times do we not take trips that are an hour or 2 hours long? And you're on the road and you're thinking, I really need to craft. But in my case, I can't craft because I get car sick. But I could record a podcast, which I thought was brilliant of Mom. So yes, we did manage to record a podcast together for those of you who were wondering. And I'll include links to everything I talk about down below, as I always do, because I just find it easier if you guys don't have to just go someplace else to check out the notes for the podcast. That may or may not change in the future. Hint, hint. Not really hint. I'm going to be talking to you guys about that in a bit too. What else have I been up to in that month I've been away? Well, puppy training? Which is exhausting. He's a little monster of energy. It's not even a ball. He's a monster of energy. He has so much energy. We try to play with him an hour a day, and if I get out early from work, or like today, I have the day off from work, then I try to walk him at least 4 times during the day, and he rarely sleeps. Like, I'm amazed he's being quiet right now. He's right next to me in his pen crate. Let's face it, it's a pen. It's huge. And he's not saying anything. May or may not last. We shall see. So yes, other than puppies, I have been looking into, investigating, researching, reading lots of articles about starting your own blog, monetizing your blog, choosing platforms where to best put your blog, and all stuff like that. And I think I've come to the conclusion that I will be using WordPress. I will be paying, not their business, but not their personal. It's the third choice, I guess, because we've got free, personal, and premium. I think I should be paying the premium, which is $96 a year, in order to be able to monetize my blog and have my own name without having WordPress.com at the end of it. I have been also looking at lots of websites from people I admire. So the Crafting and Treats blog, the Cherry Heart blog, the Betsy Makes blog, the Scenes and Roger blog, the Potter and Bloom blog, the VullenvineYarns.com website, and all these other websites like that. And Vullenvine, I'm pretty certain she pays her own domain hosting and for somebody to have her website on a server, because it doesn't say powered by anywhere in the website. And there's because if you usually go to the bottom of the page, that's where you'll find I call it the page ID, so the copyright of the website, who created the website, who powers the website, who maintains the website, and it all says Vullenvine. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I would like to be there in the future. The whole point of just looking outside of Etsy is to find a place where I can have my blog, podcast links, patterns if I ever come up with any patterns, and my shop all in one page for you guys. So again, I'm gonna start out a bit small and see where that takes us, because even though I used to love Instagram, I think it's turning into something I'm not particularly fond of. It's hard to be part of a community if Instagram just keeps hiding the posts from people you follow and giving you advertisements. And if they keep shadow banning you, I think it's just ridiculous. So I did want to look up a place where we could just chat together as a community, and we could all maybe be invited to post stuff in the blog. And speaking of that, it was like an idea I had toiling in my mind, like, I don't think I'll have all the time in the world to be able to come up with blog posts, but if Mom posts and I ask you guys to post, maybe some volunteers that would like to post about their crafty life and things like that, I thought that would be brilliant. And you know, just because you think of something doesn't make it truly original. And I found the hooknooklife.com/blog, and I guess it's hosted or run by Jessica from the Hook Nook, and you can find her on Instagram and a lot of other places. She's designs, so she's a crochet designer. She sells her patterns on Etsy as well. I think I own one of her patterns. I recently checked out her Etsy page, and I'm pretty sure her patterns, she changed the pricing on them, and they're, I wouldn't want to say more affordable, because I do know the work that goes into creating a pattern. I've been working on a pattern, and Mom has been working on a pattern, and I've been trying to help her, so I'm well aware of that. But yeah, she changed the prices. I guess that's what I was trying to say. And anyway, so in this blog, every once in a while, she'll ask another crochet designer or blogger, or both, to post a free pattern on her blog. I'm still amazed at what people give for free sometimes. It's like, I would pay for a pattern like that, but hey, it's free. So I also think giving out free patterns is a great way to market yourself, because if you've never tried this crochet designer, this knit designer, embroidery design, whatever type of designer, but you want to see what their patterns are like and what their style of writing is, if they have a free pattern or multiple free patterns, then you can be like, oh, I can understand this person. I can see that style. I can, you know, see that this will, even though the pattern might look difficult, the instructions are easy to follow, and it's a good way to market yourself as a designer. I'm just super chatty today, aren't I? So I think I'm back to my original self, I would like to say. And plus, it's been a month. I have a lot to say, as I've mentioned. So yes, head on over to the hooknooklife.com/blog. You won't regret it. It's beautifully put together, and I found patterns for crochet dresses. I found patterns for summer tops. I found patterns for cupcake scrubbies, which are a thing I'm kind of into. Crocheting, using up my cotton stash to crochet, not really dishcloths. I've kind of abandoned them a bit. I want to get back to them, but just coasters and scrubbies. So all fun and good stuff. I'm pretty sure, you know, I just scratched the surface with those free patterns. So go check it out for yourself. Promise you will not regret it. And speaking of patterns, I have mine almost written up, at least the instructions for the size small. So I'm just missing the instructions on how to put them together and the pictures. So the instructions on how to put it together won't be that detailed, but I do want to tell you what stitches I used to seam them together, and the measure where I stopped seaming it together, where I started seaming it together. So just small details like that that some patterns do include and some patterns don't include, that I think are very useful. Also, I measured my sister while I was in Puerto Rico, and guess what? 50 inches is an extra large, so I guess it wasn't huge. It's just that since I'm so tiny, when I had the 50-inch object in my hands, I thought I was making something exaggerated that nobody would be able to wear. But it's 50 inches all around, so it's 25 inches. and just flat, and then it'll be 50 inches all around, give or take a couple of inches depending on gauge and whatnot. Of course, if you wanted to make that large a bit smaller, you could just decrease the size of the hook. Pattern is easy to adjust for another type of yarn if you so wish, because I will give you the stitch counts for the pattern at the bottom, which is where the stitch at the bottom, sorry, which is where the whole pattern is kind of based off in the whole stitch counts. So I just have to get back to trying to make that sample for the extra large, and then we'll be on our way. But I'm super pleased with myself because I managed to design the aesthetic of the pattern that I like. I've edited the pictures I've taken so they're clear, and there's notes on the pictures, so I think I'm on track. I'm trying to essentially imitate phase patterns with how detailed I'm being in this pattern. The only thing I'm missing, I think, is stitch count. I think that's the only thing I'm missing. Look at that, 16 minutes in, and I have not even talked about crochet, which is one of the main purposes of this podcast. But before I talk about crochet, can we talk about the lipstick I'm wearing? I'm in love with it. If you guys have been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm obsessed with Kat Von D lipsticks and Red Apple lipsticks. Now, I haven't purchased a Red Apple lipstick in a while, but I do fawn over their Instagram page, and I do go to the website and go like, oh, that's pretty, oh, that's pretty. I love Red Apple lipsticks, but I also love Kat Von D lipsticks. And for the 4th of July, I thought they were going to have sales, which they really didn't. They just had free shipping, and it was UPS, so then I had to go pick it up at the designated UPS website. So I'm like, spot. So what was the point of the free shipping if I still had to go pick it up? When I ship something, I want to get it in my house, not go pick it up. But anyway, as I said, I'm a sucker for her lipsticks, and I had seen she come out with this one. It's called, so I would love to know why everybody else has Asumi things on their iPads and I don't understand. But anyway, it's called Milagro, and it's this gorgeous brick pumpkin orange, and it's her everlasting liquid lipstick. I'm not paid to say how much I love either Red Apple lipsticks or Kat Von D, which, by the way, they're usually lipsticks I wear when podcasting. It's either Red Apple lipsticks or Kat Von D. So if you've ever wondered, there you go. But I'm obsessed. Like, it's so beautiful. My eyeliner is also Kat Von D, because I love it. But I don't use the tattoo liner. Well, now I did, because Mom doesn't like it, so I just took it. Like, she gave it to me. But I like the ink liner. That's my favorite. But anyway, this is not a my favorites video. This is a podcast, a crochet podcast, or vlogcast, really, because it's a video vlog. There's no audio. So yes, let's move on towards our finished objects. I guess my finished objects are very cheeky because they're 4, but they're really small, so I'm just using it as a set. So when I was in Puerto Rico, I realized that I'd forgotten to pack some cotton pads to take my makeup off with. And then I was like, why am I going to use cotton pads if there's a lot of cotton yarn here? So let's just crochet a cotton pad and use that to wipe my makeup, wash my face, all that stuff that we have one-use items for. And so Mom had issue 101 of Inside Crochet, and I was browsing through it, and I saw this floral brooches pattern by Alessandra Bogiaghiomi. No idea if I said that correctly, but anyway, so these are her floral brooches, and as you can see, they're a bit too big. I thought they were a bit too big to be used as cotton pads, but you absolutely can. So since I wasn't sure, I decided to make 4 of them. And I was like, well, it could be coasters. Because look, I just love the fact that the cup fits right in the middle. And I don't really want to turn it because there is water. But the cup fits right in the middle and you just have the beautiful petals of the flower. I just really like that idea. So I used a 4mm hook and I used cotton yarn that was in my stash, or mom's stash back home. It's just sugar and cream, Lillian sugar. The one you buy at Walmart in the cones. It was part of a cone. And I actually really love how variegated it came out because it gives the petals like their own identity, doesn't them? And none of the 2 came out the same, more or less. So, yep, that's my only finished object. I still haven't decided if they're going to be coasters or maybe washcloths, or I think they'd be good as washcloths, but I don't know. I just made them. They'll get used, which is the important thing. And whatever they get used as, whether it be coasters or scrubbies, they will have infinite amount of uses because they're made in super sturdy cotton yarn. Now, the only thing I don't like about using this cotton yarn is that it's very splitty. So when you're weaving in ends or even crocheting with it, it's kind of like a little, you know. But having said that, I had no issues following the pattern. It's very well written, and obviously I didn't use it as a brooch, so there's some elements of it that I didn't include. Like she does a final round of decoration, crocheting on top of the final round of the circle. I didn't do that. And obviously there's no materials to use it as a brooch because I do not want it as a brooch. So that's it. I also have some sewn finished objects, but I will show those as part of my Etsy shop update later on in the podcast. I'll include a timestamp below, so when I actually talk about it, so if you want to skip it or log off, then you can before I talk about it. Now, this just swiftly moves us on to works in progress. Now, I have 6 works in progress in total. I will only talk about 4. 2 of them, technically, have been works in progress forever. And I will try and get 1 finished, which is Layula for Crafternoon Treats Finish Along. The other one is the Spicier Life Blanket, which I was trying to finish it for Sandra's Cherry Heart Make-Along. But that make-along is finished and the blanket is not. So yes, let's hope I have better luck with Layula and the Crafternoon Treats Finish Along. What shall I show you first? Let's start with some socks. So, sock-wise, I just took socks with me to Puerto Rico because I knew it was going to be boiling hot and I would not want any form of crochet on top of me, which is why I switched on my projects. I just, not switched, but put them on pause and just made this while I was back home because it was hot and I wanted something quick, fun, and easy. So, having said that, I did work on my crochet sock. Now, this is why I have fancy dandy sock blockers, isn't it? I'm gonna go get them and I'll be right back. I have successfully retrieved my fancy sock blockers. So here we are. This is my finished sock, and this was made using Mom's My Sweet Sock pattern, which we're still testing and working out some kinks. But yes, in contrast to the previous version of this that I had made in March, I made these as shorties, so I only did 1 repeat, and I also knit the sock. I'll insert a picture of the crochet cuff I was making. Now, as you can see, that cuff was looking a bit too wide for me. I didn't, and in essence, I actually did finish the cuff and I joined it, you know, the two ends together, and it was, I have skinny ankles, so it was like huge around my ankles. So I just decided to knit it, and I knit it using 9-inch circulars and 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circulars to be precise. They were the Clover Takumi bamboos, which I haven't used in ages, and I mean ages. Ever since I got my Chiagu's 9-inch, I haven't used them. But I do have to say that the Clover Takumi 9-inch bamboo needles, since they're a bit bent in the corners, let me show them to you. Since they have this little bendy bit, it makes them the ideal needle for having less than 60 inches. I find knitting on the Chiagu 9-inch circulars to be a bit annoying if I have less than 64 stitches on my needle, which I usually do because I cast on 60 stitches for my cuff, and after I cast on 60 stitches, I usually add on the other 4 for whatever pattern I'm making. So yes, I guess you can say I fell in love with these again. They're not too blunt. But I mean, they're not too sharp. They are a bit on the blunt side. But I love them all the same. So, back to the sock. I used a 3.25 millimeter hook, and I love the fit of the sock. I absolutely love the fit of the sock. The pattern is worked in the round, so you don't really see a seam, except now, the yarn. The yarn was a hank of yarn that I had purchased a while back from Lighthouse Yarns. She still has her shop on Etsy, so I'll include a link down below. And I loved it. I love it. It's her BFL nylon blend, so it's 80% BFL and 20% nylon, and I love BFL yarn for socks. I just love the feel of it. I love everything about BFL. It's super wash, so of course I'm not feeling the actual BFL. There is a chemical coating on it, but what I love about it is that it's tonal, and for me it has the right amount of speckles. Sometimes you have yarn that it's overly speckled and then it just turns into variegated for me, but this is beautiful. The speckles, if you can see, are brown, green, blues. I'm so in love with these socks, guys. I'm not even kidding. I've even started the second one. And of course you can see that the nature of crochet, one side is more speckled than the other. But I absolutely love them. In fact, I kind of wish there was another one of these. I think the colorway was sand or beach, one of the two, because Sandra came out with a sock pattern that she called warm and toasty, and this is precisely what that reminds me of, warm and toasty. So I cannot say more good things. I'm super thrilled, super thrilled with everything. The fit of these socks, the feel of the socks, the yarn, the pattern. I love it all. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this by the next time I podcast, because I wouldn't say I'm super fast crocheting socks, but I'm reasonably fast, you know, it's a thing that could happen. Right, so that's whip number 1. Why don't I continue with whip number 2 and make it another sock, but this time a knit sock. And it's living in my tartan bag that Mom was coveting. So these are Edison's socks. I'm not really following a pattern for them. They're just 72 stitches, I've got a heel flap and gusset, just standard, and then 2.25 Chiagu needles. Just my standard socks, I guess, if I have a standard sock. 2x2 rib. And I'm almost at the toe decreases, which is exciting because I think I've used half the ball. So that probably means I will use the entire ball to make Edison's socks, which makes sense. His feet is 12 inches. I mean, his feet measure. The length is 12 inches in total. And I'm using Lang Super Socks. And I really, really love the yarn. It's the combination of wool and cotton is lovable. It gives it that springiness in addition to the polyamide and the nylon it also has. So it gives it that springiness and memory of wool, but kind of the non-super hot wool because there's cotton. I have no idea what I just said. What I'm trying to say is that these socks are supposed to feel, I guess, lighter than the entirely wool socks because they do have a cotton content in them. I can't really say anything else about them except that I'm eager to get them off the needles and quickly start the other one before I get second sock syndrome, because Edison has been reminding me at every single opportunity that he can, without seeming to pressure me, that he really wants those socks. And I shall try my hardest to make that wish come true before Christmas. So, just continuing on with the knitting, I'm going to show you the project I'm working on for the Summer Romance Cal. So, if you guys have been following me for a while, you'll know that I am obsessed. Is obsessed too strong a word? Might not be. You know what? Obsessed is too strong a word. I often read Draco and Hermione fanfiction because I think they should have been a couple. No matter what J.K. Rowling says about people that think Draco and Hermione should have been a couple, because not everything in life is black and white, and I think Draco was very gray, and Hermione, I feel that her character could have been forgiving. Maybe not. But I feel that after 7 years of working with Harry, you have to figure out that you have to be forgiving as a person, because not everything is black and white, people. Not everything is black and white. Right. So, speaking of not everything is black and white, my bad boy is Draco Malfoy, as I guess I've been trying to tell you with my ramblies. And I am representing Draco Malfoy by making the Ollivander shawl, which is a pattern by Kay Jones, and it's my first ever my first ever knit shawl. I have a lot of Kay's patterns, but I've never knit one, so this is also my first Kay Jones pattern, and I love it. I love it so much, guys. I really love it. I love the simplicity of it. I love the yarn I'm using, and I love it. I love the needles. So I ordered some, because I didn't have for the project, so I ordered some Chiagu 4mm needles, 32-inch cable. Now, I guess these fall under Chiagu lace, and I had read and heard that Chiagu lace is coming out with a thinner, more flexible cable. No. Why? Just why? I know you either love or hate Chiagu needles. I love them. 2 reasons. The metal is slick enough to allow me to go faster, but grippy enough that my stitches don't fall off the needles like Hayas. The tips are sharp enough that I have no problems going into my stitches, but dull enough that I do not stab myself with them. Hayas. The cable is very sturdy, and I love a sturdy cable. I hate those wishy-washy cables that you sometimes find in needles. I cannot describe how much I do not like wishy-washy cables. I like my cables strong and sturdy, so I don't feel like I'm gonna break them just by using them. Now that I've said all that, we can get back to the beautiful shawl. So why am I calling this my Draco Malfoy shawl? Because I am using colors that remind me of unicorns or cotton candy, whichever you prefer. My fiance insists that these is a cotton candy type colors, and I insist that if unicorns existed, they would probably poop cotton candy. So, yes. So, if you know some stuff about Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy's Draco Malfoy's wand is a unicorn hair core. Because, as I said, life is not black and white. So, I am choosing to represent the wand core that Draco owns. My little teacup stitch marker. And I haven't worked on this in like a week. Like when I went to Puerto Rico, I didn't take it with me, and since I've been back, I haven't worked on it because I've been working on the sock. But just seeing it again and feeling it really makes me want to pick it up and scooch it and just keep working on it. So the yarn I'm using, now that I've just talked your ear off about how much I love it, is yarn from one of my favorite yarn dyers, Crafternoon Treats. Hi, Catherine, if you're watching. So, yes, Crafternoon Treats yarn is amazing. And this kind of bluey colorway is Duck Egg. And this other colorway, so these colors aren't usually in my comfort zone, but for some reason I love everything about them. I love them together, I love them separate. I would make so many things in these two colorways. So this other one is Best Silk Lingerie. And they are both the same yarn base. I'm not quite sure if she still has it in her shop, but it's non-superwash yarn, as Catherine's yarn always is, or almost always. I don't know, I just love it. So this one is 85% Romney lamb's wool, 5% PFL, and 10% British alpaca, woolen spun in Yorkshire. Love it. Love it. Have I told you guys that I love it? And it's living in a lovely bag that I made because I wanted Mom and I to kind of be bag twinsies. So I have the beginning of her bag twinsiness. Always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder. Plant roses, keep rosemary by your garden gate, plant roses and lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can. Do you know where that's from? Allie, I know you know where that's from. Mom, I know you know where that's from. Claudia, you probably know where that's from. Anyway, you guys can comment down below if you know where that's from. We can have a nice long chat. So I chose this fabric because it really reminds me of the movie where the quote is from, or the book. I do have to say that usually when movies are based on books, I'm a fan of the book more than the movie. It's not the case with Practical Magic. I just told you guys where that quote was from. Ignore me. Ignore me. Clearly, it's been a while since I podcasted, and I'm so full of energy that I'm bouncing all over the walls. Which is why I have some handy dandy notes in front of me to remind me that it's time to move on and talk about my fourth whip, which is actually crochet. So we've got a nice balance. 2 knit, 1 crochet. I'm sorry, 2 knit, 2 crochets. Having said that, I just remembered, I lied to you guys. I do have 7 works in progresses because my other work in progress is the knit turban that I have yet to complete, and I have not worked on it, which I really should. But it's fingering weight and there's so many stitches on it. But it's beautiful, so I should. Anyway, my 4th work in progress that I'll be sharing with you today is living in my lovely Crochet Luna bag. Thank you, Claudia. And are you ready? It's the Secret Garden dress by Cassie Ward, and it's found in issue 101 of Inside Crochet. This is it. Now, I have not picked this up since before I went back home because I ran into a bit of a disturbance in the force with this dress. So, this is how it's working up. It looks nothing like a dress, I know. But, so I'm just using the Sunburst Granny Square pattern, which is called for in the pattern. And I don't know how well you can tell, but let's look up the dress again. Oh, you can see it on the other page. Here, I don't want to give any state secrets away. Here, you can see that the colors are kind of alternated. So in each row, they'll form a diagonal stripe. And she doesn't tell you how to do that. So obviously, I know, you just have certain pages that you can fill, so they're probably tech edited by the magazine. They edit some things out. So I had to chart my own version. My colors corresponding. I do have the zoomy thing. There you go. My colors corresponding. And I made a chart. So I had to rip back the joins I had made and join them again in the proper order. So first, second, kind of goes like that. And I love it. I love how this is looking. And I really want to work on it now that I see it again. I love all my projects. Isn't that just great when you love all your projects? So now the other thing I ran into, the other problem I guess I ran into, was of my own making. So originally, I thought that this lime green was too in your face. It looked less neon when I bought it. And then when I got it, it just looked too neon and in your face. So I thought, let's crochet a different version so you can break up the color a little bit. Then when I went to crochet it together, it would have been blue next to blue, and I could not live with that. I just could not live with that. So I started ripping back all the circles. Actually, I lie. I did not rip them back. I left them with the hope that at some point I will not have a green next to an orange and I can use them. Especially because I bought 2 of those balls, and they're 50-gram balls, 120 yards. This is the yarn I'm using. I love working with it. I'm so sad that it's discontinued. Most of the yarn I bought it from Wool Warehouse, but this particular colorway I got it from yarn.com. I am gonna have to go on their website and see if they have at least one left, because I added up the yardage with the yarn that's required for it in the pattern, which is acrylic, with the yardage that I have, and I would need 3 balls of yarn to be able to meet the requirements. So there I go. I do have enough of all the other colors. It's just that bright lime green. My favorite one though is this one. which is funny because when I was crocheting it, I didn't think I would like it that much. But I'm joining them all with the gray, as you can see, and the gray is also Conway and Bliss. So they're Lolly Yarns by Conway and Bliss, distributed by Debbie Bliss. As I mentioned, they're all discontinued, which is why I was able to buy garment quantities without breaking the bank too much. There is about $100 worth of yarn in this dress. But I know I'm gonna love it. And I also bought more than I needed because I'm secretly hoping to have enough of the lemon left over to be able to make another rivet top. I'm also secretly hoping that I'll have enough of the gray left over to make another garment with it as well. I really love all these projects I'm working on, guys. They're so exciting to me right now, which is good because you need exciting projects in your life. The other thing I wanted to mention about that Secret Garden dress is that, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm using the join as you go method. So the join as you go method kind of just matches up the seams, but it does make them holier. But, you know, granny squares are holy anyway, so I thought it's probably easier to go with that than the other joining method, which is just after you've joined everything. So this is kind of what it looks like. It forms this ridge between them, which does add to the width of whatever project you're making. And this was my cherry heart skirt. It's inside out, but this was the cherry heart skirt I had made last year. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of like the difference, because I was like, what is the difference between joining as you go, other than then you don't have to weave in all those ends or have more yarn to sew it all together? Well, of course, Beth, that's the difference. It yields a completely different fabric, in my opinion. So the other thing I have to chat with you guys about are some acquisitions. So I've received the final installment of my Knit Crate subscription, and you can head on over to my YouTube channel and click on the yarn vlogs. I did a Knit Crate only video, so you will find my thoughts and comments on all the subscription boxes I received, my plans for each of those boxes, and my thoughts on the yarn as well. It's very high quality yarn, definitely, and it's very affordable. The last one I received was this one. And even though purple is not really my color, this is like a blue violet, and it has, yeah, it's a blue violet. So hey, Pantone color of the year, ultraviolet, more or less, right? Too bad it came too late for the Cal, the Pantone ultraviolet Cal hosted by KCACY, but never fear, they are hosting a Cal. Oh, I have to calculate the yardage for these guys so I can enter it for the Cal. Exciting. Back to this lovely ball of squishiness. I'm sorry, I keep scratching my forehead, but it's because I have some hairs that are really just bugging me. Anyway, ball of squishiness. This is so luscious. It's a 70% superwash merino, 20% kid mohair, 10% silk. Seda. Sedoso. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. I love silk. I feel really guilty for loving silk, but there is a, you know, humane version of silk in which the worms are not killed. So yay! But anyway, this is beautiful. It's got a nice halo because of the mohair and that sheen from the silk. It's just going to be luscious. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it because the pattern that it brought, it's not really my thing. It's knit as well. Knitting and fingering weight, other than socks, I've realized is not really my thing. But I've got two. So it has to be a garment. Of course, it just has to be. And here's where the knitting with fingering weight, not wanting to do it, kicks in, because there is a beautiful pattern that I've been meaning to make, and it's called Tenga. I'll include a link down below. And it's beautiful and lacy, but it's fingering weight and knit. I foresee problems with it. Another yarn that I received was one I actually purchased, and I purchased 2 hanks of it, one for me and one for Mom, because it was part of her birthday present. And this is Crafternoon Treats yarn. 85% ethically produced Polworth, 15% nylon. Crafternoon Treats base, sock base, spun and superwash treated in the UK. An experiment that Catherine did. She was experimenting with eco printing on yarn and fabrics, and she gave this socks at hanks hanks of yarn at a discount, with the understanding that you provide her with good quality pictures of what you make with it. Socks, crochet socks, knit socks, whatever you make with it. It was an understanding that you would provide her with good pictures. Mine is still in the hank, but I wanted so bad to try and get a pair of crochet socks and a pair of knit socks out of this. I probably could get some roasty rollers, but I would have to weigh it just to see if I would have 50 grams left. If I do have 50 grams left, then I could probably also get a pair of crochet if I do contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes. We'll see. And Mom, in turn, gifted me with this awesome yarn, Regia. It's so squishy, and it's Regia cotton, 100 grams, 72% cotton, 18% polyamide, 10% polyester. Boop, boop. So squishy. I can't wait to try socks with that either. You know, the thing about it is, guys, I say I'm not particularly a sock knitter, but everything I visualize is sock knitting. I just want to get better at it. I want to get faster because I only have 4 pairs of handmade socks in my wardrobe. 2 of them are knit and 3 of them are crochet, and that adds up to 5, not 4. But what I mean is I made 4. So I've made 2 pairs for me in crochet, 2 pairs for me knit, and then 1 pair Mom gifted to me, which is also crochet. There we go. Math logic. So, but lately, whenever I visualize socks, I'm like, oh, I should make 1 knit and 1 crochet, because why not? Why not? I love crocheting, but I love the feel of knit socks. Although I have to say, I do love the feel of crochet socks as well. If they're well made, crochet socks can be a beautiful thing. So yes, all the yarny bits and bobs, beautiful goodness I have received. Now, if you only came here to chat with me about yarn and life update and all that other crazy stuff, then I hope you've enjoyed it. And I bid you farewell, and I wish you a happy crafting. If, however, you'd like to stick out for news of my shop updates and my shop ideas, then stick around, because coming right up in 3, 2, 1, hello. As I mentioned previously, Etsy changed their shop policies, and if you're an Etsy seller, you were already aware of this. If you follow people that sell a lot on Etsy, you're also probably aware of this. I know that Little Bean Loves, Kayleen, she did a dedicated 2 videos, one on why she left Etsy and the other one on how it's going with Shopify, which was the platform that she chose to sell her yarn in. So kind of like the platform she chose, period. Now, I've been considering leaving Etsy because, as I mentioned previously, you do have to pay them extra if you want people to find you through the Etsy search. So if you tag and do all these other keywords for people to find your objects, if you do not pay Etsy, your shop will not appear. So in addition to the 20-cent listing and in addition to the fee that they stay, which is now 5%, they do require you that for you to be searchable, you pay Etsy to be searchable, which I can understand. You know, they have to make money to keep up the community and the security somehow. But I also think it's a bit unfair because so far I've invested $2,000 in this Etsy venture, and I have made $800, which means I am at a loss of $1,200. And I have not made, like, seriously, I'm at a loss of $1,200. And for someone who wasn't really working and had put my money into the shop, it was a bit discouraging. I'm not saying I was expecting to be an overnight success, because I don't think there is such a thing as an overnight success. And if you have bought from my shop, I'm super thankful. If you have looked at what I've offered, I'm also super thankful. But having said that, I did want Etsy to be my second part-time job. I wanted to be able to have an income that would sustain me, and if my parents needed help, would also be able to help them. I am nowhere near that. I realize some of this is my fault. I haven't been the most responsible of podcasters lately, and I have certainly not been the most responsible of Etsy sellers lately either, with shop updates and things like that. But it's not all Etsy's fault, as I just said. I do have to consider my end of the bargain, but I also have to consider what would actually make me a profit. If I open my own website, I know net neutrality is now out the window, but I think I would only be against the Google search engine. If I stay in Etsy, Etsy search engine is against me, and Google search engine is a bit against me as well. So there are those things to consider. Plus, I need to consider how much it would cost me yearly to have my own domain, pay for my hosting. If I do the own website completely separately and I don't use a selling platform, I have to consider the security of my customers and the security of my own website. So there are a lot of things that I'm considering when it comes to the Etsy shop. For the moment, I am on Etsy. The shop is on vacation because I forgot it was on vacation. But I have made some things for the shop because my trip back home certainly inspired me to make more things for the shop. First, I'm going to share with you the things Mom has made for the shop, and then I'll transition into the things I have made for the shop because they're related. So if you follow Mom's Instagram or if you watch her podcast, you'll know that she made these gorgeous felted, I was gonna say cakes, and it is a cake, but the purpose of it is to be a pincushion. And I feel really bad because they're so pretty. But that was the main idea behind them, that they would be pincushions. So this one's a beautiful key lime strawberry cake. And then she made 2 cupcakes. So this one is a gorgeous red velvet this one's a chocolate cupcake with strawberry frosting and a little cherry on top. And this one is a red velvet cupcake with cream cheese frosting and a strawberry for decoration. I love these cupcakes. I love the cake. These are gorgeous pincushions. I do not know. Like, I use mine as a pincushion and sometimes I feel guilty. But I have to figure out a way to package them before I actually put them on the shop to sell. What I'm kind of looking for are tall boxes, but that are still small in dimension. They'll probably have to be shipped priority mail, just because of the dimensions the box will have and any protection I add to it. The other stuff Mom made was some beautiful felted sceneries. So first up was the second scenery she made. And it's beautiful sheep. So she made this scenery and I sewed it all up into a bag with these really wide zippers, which I have a love-hate relationship with. My love of them stems that I think from that they're really fun and they have wide teeth and they kind of include their own zipper pull. My hate of them stems from the fact that they're really hard on the machine. They're really hard to sew. The machine really fights me on it and I try to go really slow and change the needle every time I sew one of these bags. So it's just not really working, which is a shame because, as I mentioned, they're so fun. And I have had people comment on the fact that they love the wide zippers, they find them fun, but just a bit pain to sew. And since I don't have labels for Mom and me, I just hand wrote with a fabric marker on there. I was gonna try and write a whole phrase that Mom and I say, but it wasn't gonna fit. The second bag I'm going to show you was actually what I requested Mom to make the first time, which was a little bunny bum. It's a little bunny bum trying to make it into his hidey hole, which I'm so happy with. So here's the bag. Nice big sturdy handle, and these are pretty tall, so even though the width is, you might not see it as such, I'm pretty confident you could fit a 2 or 3 hank project in here because they are really tall. And this one has zipper, as well. Now the reason I chose to go with a zipper bag was I thought making a drawstring bag when you pull and you know, to close and then open, it was gonna be hard on the felted masterpiece, and I want them to last as much as they can. Of course, these bags, you are, if you purchase them, you're gonna have to be a bit gentle with them because they are made with felt, so you don't want to kind of ruin that. But I'm so happy with these bags and I'm so thankful Mom was able to help me in the making of them, and I'm just so awed by just the whole beauty of them. I think I'm gonna find them really hard to part with them, but since I did make them to sell them in my shop and to help support Mom and I will go ahead and put them in the shop. I'm just trying to think of when I will schedule the shop update for next. I want to have a good amount of bags before I put any listings up on Etsy. Or the other side, if I decide to close the Etsy shop and open up my own website, then I would like to start the website brand new with these awesome bags. So we shall see where life takes me. The other bag that I finished is one that I also absolutely love. It's more of this fabric, which I'm in love with, and I just absolutely love the combination of these two fabrics. They can be a bit Halloween-y if you're like take it into the palm reading venture, but palm reading just doesn't happen on Halloween, does it? Of course not. And people don't just read tarot cards on Halloween, so there we go. This fabric I absolutely love. So it has some quilter batting between it, so it's nice and squishy. These other bags do not have quilters batting because the fabric I felt was sturdy enough without it. But this fabric is really, really flimsy. Like, you can still kind of see the fabric through. So that's why I chose the bit of quilters batting. And as I said, this fabric is really, really special to me. I don't know what it is about it, but it just speaks to my soul. So I'm hoping to, in sometime in the future, be able to purchase more of this fabric and share it with you guys in the shop. I think I still have enough fabric to make maybe half bags like the one I have. So again, we shall see where life takes us, won't we? So I think that is it in terms of Etsy and Etsy shop business. I am honestly thinking of the blog. Hopefully, if I don't start it today, I'll be able to start it soon. So stay tuned, watch this space. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this extra long podcast, but I had a lot to share with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed all of what I have to share. And if you didn't, I hope I've at least inspired you in some small way. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share this hour with me. And I shall see you in the next video, the next podcast, which hopefully will not be in 1 month. And just happy crafting, guys. Bye.